Tell me what you think about this interview on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being awful, 1 being excellent. How did this interview go? This is Nadine Dorries. She is a politician and had one hell of a car crash interview trying to defend the Prime Minister before a vote of no confidence today. She started by saying that the vote of no confidence in the Prime Minister was a conspiracy.
But anyone who says that this isn't being coordinated and isn't being organised behind the scenes, I'm afraid is not telling you the truth.
The truth is out there, Nadine. Clearly, it couldn't be anything to do with the fact that the Prime Minister has lied to Parliament, has lied to the Queen, has broken the law, breached COVID regulations which he was advocating everyone to follow during COVID, or just generally hacked off the public, which we'll talk about later.
This is a very well organised campaign. It's a perfect storm for some. It's Remainers who are taking in others who are disaffected.
That's always a clear go-to. Blame people who want to rejoin the EU. It's always their fault, even though you're in charge with majority of Brexiteers.
By a small number of individuals, some who believe that they should be the next Prime Minister.
Which individuals?
Well, I'm not going to say.
Always a classic with conspiracy theorists. Give me some details. I've got none. I've got no names.
We're going to reach a point where people aren't going to vote for the Conservative Party because people don't vote for divided parties.
Boris is absolutely correct. It's one of the key components for winning an election. And he's absolutely failed at it. He's got a split party. You can check out the rest of the other reasons in my video. Britain doesn't want Boris.
That the Conservative Party donors have said themselves that they aren't going to support the party if the Prime Minister is removed.
Interesting, isn't it, that she's bringing up donors as a reason to keep him in power. But of course, we now know that a lot of the donations have actually come from Russian oligarchs with deep ties to Vladimir Putin. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, check out my film, From Russia with No Love.
£80 million those donors have donated to the Conservative Party.
80 million is a huge amount of donations to be put into any party, and that is a massive amount of influence that could be taken and used upon the Conservatives. But of course, that's not the only form of influence that could be done on Boris. We are under the impression, and it has been asked of him in question time, has he been influenced in a honey trap at a sex party at Lord Lebedev's place in Italy? If you're wondering what I'm talking about, it involves this article in The Guardian where Boris Johnson ditched his personal security to attend a party in Italy at Lord Lebedev's place. If you're wondering who Lord Lebedev is, he's the son of a former KGB agent who runs and owns the Evening Standard and the Independent. Former MI6 agents have claimed that Boris attended a sex party and it was a honey trap. It's also interesting that she actually attacks members of her own party after just being given a bit of a subtle hint that it's not exactly advantageous in a political scenario to attack them. She begins again and she starts attacking politician Jeremy Hunt.
You said if you've been leader, you'd have handed the keys of number 10 to Corbyn. You've been wrong on almost everything. You're wrong again now. That's what you said to Jeremy Hunt.
Nadine Dorries is just not a political operator. She is adding fuel to the fire of a split in the Tory Party. So she put on Twitter several posts having a go at Jeremy Hunt. And the worst part of it was, from a Tory perspective, out of the 4 tweets, in tweets 3 and 4, she ends up having a go at Jeremy Hunt for all the work and preparation he'd done for COVID, which means she is actually attacking her own party who were in charge at the time. What a massive own goal. Let's have a listen to what she has to say to that. If you're enjoying these videos and you want me to continue, please click that like button. It is free, and click the subscribe button. That is also free, but it also means it gives me time and money to be able to continue making videos like this and showing up the Tories for who they really are.
Nadine Dorries, just as an aside, actually, also you said to Jeremy Hunt, your pandemic preparation during 6 years as health secretary was found wanting and inadequate. Your duplicity right now is destabilising the party and country to serve your own personal ambition. I mean, you were a health minister. Is that an admission that the pandemic preparation was not good enough under the Conservative government?
Burn, but listen to her stutter.
So we're not going to rewrite what happened, though. We know the...
Did you hear that level of stuttering that was taking place? Stress, 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 stress.
The World Health Organization report and other reports which have come out since the pandemic. We know we did, particularly...
189,000 dead, and she has the brass to come on TV and say they've done well. They've literally been ridiculed in the press and in investigations on how they let down the old age pensioners who had to go into retirement homes after being in hospital and not checking them. They literally wiped out retirement homes. And she's going on there going, we did a good job. It's sick.
Well, but we did particularly well because of the way the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, handled the pandemic.
I'm shaking hands continuously. I was at a hospital the other night where I think there were actually a few coronavirus patients, and I shook hands with everybody. You'll be pleased to know.
And Matt Hancock, I might say.
The same Matt Hancock that had an affair with the aide that he hired in during the pandemic when he was telling everyone that they shouldn't be interacting with other households.
I think we should be on this programme thanking my team. You know, they worked so hard.
Really?
And yes.
Well, let's just analyse that, shall we? We have your team. I'm sorry, if you want to play that game with us, your team, you and your team have presided over a woeful handling of this pandemic that has led to us having the worst death toll in Europe, 130,000 people dead. So I'm sorry if my first thought when you come on, Health Secretary, is not to thank you and your team for your brilliant handling of the pandemic.
Then there's this amazing gaffe.
To repeatedly say they're not going to issue a challenge while we're at war with Ukraine.
So, we're at war with Ukraine. Brilliant. Beth Rigby then holds her to account over the Prime Minister being a drag on the Conservative Party.
You know, he was the superstar and now he's the drag anchor. And you might disagree, but you can understand why some of your colleagues are worrying.
So I'll answer that, but I'll just make one more point. We also have the lowest unemployment rate since 1974, delivered by this Prime Minister. But and
the highest inflation in 4 decades.
What a burn. And she's clearly not happy about it because you can just see that she's quite dismissive on one hand, but she's showing her teeth, which is normally a sign of aggression. It's great that everyone's got a job, but that's only a short-term solution to a long-term problem, which is the economy wants to grow and it can't because it doesn't have the workforce available to it.
I mean, I know that's a global issue as well, but my point is that there's lots of
we have a lower
anxiety
inflation rate in the US and many countries in the EU.
So it's more than the EU because ours is about 9%. The EU's is at 8.1. The euro area is 7.4. But if you look at some of the other big players within the EU, it's significantly lower. So, for example, France has got 5.4 inflation. If you look at Italy, it's only 6%. 5% in a lot of the Scandinavian countries. Yeah, not mentioned.
Low unemployment, but other very worrying things going on in the economy.
But Beth, you're quoting a situation which is beyond the control of the Prime Minister.
So it's beyond the control of the Prime Minister, but it's within the control of countries like France and Germany and Italy. The Scandinavian countries, that's not in their control, that is in their control. What is she talking about?
So it's a global inflation crisis, a global economic crisis, and we are doing well in the circumstances. And that's thanks to the Prime Minister and to Rishi.
Okay.
She just said it's beyond his control, and then she's saying it's low because it's Boris and Rishi. I mean, how does this person get voted in? They're just thick. So what do you think on that scale of 1 to 10? Where does Doris actually land on that interview? Pretty freaking awful. And to be honest, it just keeps digging holes inside the Conservative Party. So long may it continue. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.